All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er Packers preview. And this preview brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go get the brisket chili, go get some pulled pork, and tell them that Krug sent you. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. All right, this video is brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use Mojo Fantasy and click the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, it's the Niners and the Packers. The winner moves on. The loser goes home, and it's going to be played at 5:15 at Levi Stadium, and they're anticipating rain during the game at some point. So could be a wet field. I was watching some of the weather reports. According to the National Weather Service, there's an 80% chance of rain Saturday night. Temperature at kickoff is going to be at 58 degrees, right around 56 at halftime. So it won't be really cold. It'll be fine temperature-wise, but it's going to rain. It's going to be wet. So what do we see here for Niners-Packers as far as a preview? Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. These two sides play in the playoffs for the first time this year, but the fourth time since 2012, the 10th time in the postseason overall. 2012, Niners won 45-31. That was the year that Kaepernick ran for 181 yards. 2013, Niners won 23-20 on a frigid day in Green Bay. Niners won on a Phil Dawson field goal. 2019, Niners won 37-20. Raheem Mostert ran for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns at Levi's. And then 2021, Niners won 13-10. Jordan Willis blocked a punt at Lambeau Field. That tied the game at 10, and Robbie Gould hit the game-winning field goal, and the Niners won there. This is a 49er team that's the number 1 seed. They're 12-5. They're 9.5-point favorites. Green Bay is 9-8. 1-0 in the playoffs. They're coming off of a shellacking of the Cowboys. They beat them 48-32 in Dallas. As I said, the spread's Niners minus 9.5. The over-under sitting at 50.5. The series record all time, Green Bay leads at 38 wins for them, 33 wins for the Niners, and 1 tie. The one thing that really stands out when you look at the matchup is that Green Bay is ranked 28th in the NFL on defense at stopping the run. And the 49ers offensively have the 3rd best rushing attack in the NFL, led by the best running back in football in Christian McCaffrey. And I think the matchup really starts right there. I think the 49ers are going to have a lot of success running the ball. And I think that if they commit to the run, they should be able to run it consistently against Green Bay. Now, the other side of things, the 49ers on defense have the 3rd rated rush defense. Green Bay's got the 15th rated rush offense. I think these numbers are a little distorted. First of all, many teams stopped running against the Niners because they fell behind. And so that 3rd rated rush defense, I think, is probably a little inflated. And then Green Bay's run offense, which I said is mid-pack at 15th overall, I think is a little deflated because Aaron Jones was out, and he's obviously back now, and he's had 4 games in a row where he's run for 111 yards. So at least 111 yards. So to me, the Niners are going to be able to run the ball. The question is, can they stop Green Bay's run? And then if they can't stop Green Bay's run, what's this game going to look like? Turnovers are going to be key as well. Green Bay's even for the year on the turnover margin, where the 49ers are plus 10. Then you factor in Jordan Love. Jordan Love is hot right now. He's got 21 touchdowns and 1 interception over his past 9 games. He's completing 71% of his passes for 2,422 yards. The only other quarterback to throw for at least 2,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 1 pick over any 9-game stretch or less, or 1 interception or less, I should say, is Matt Ryan, 2016, 2017, and then Drew Brees in 2018. So the one thing you got to respect is that Jordan Love is hot, and he's really hot. I mean, you're talking about a guy who comes into this game playing outstanding football. Now, can the Niners with Christian McCaffrey, who led the NFL in rushing with over 1,400 yards and had 21 touchdowns and had the most first downs at 114, can they outscore this Packer offense where Jordan Love is absolutely red hot? That's really the question. Now, I think turnovers are going to be a major key in this game. The 49ers, when they haven't turned it over this year, they haven't been beaten. They're 8-0. They really, in a lot of ways, can only beat themselves. If they turn it over, you know, they can lose this game. If they don't turn it over, I really don't think they can lose the game. Niners, once again, 8-0 when they don't turn it over, 4-5 when they do. So that to me is the ultimate key in this battle is you can't turn it over. And I'll say it right now. If the Niners are -1 in turnovers, I think this is going to be a close game. If they're -2, they're going to lose the game. Green Bay's that good. One of the key matchups to watch for is Green Bay's offensive tackles, Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker, against Nick Bosa and Chase Young. Can the Niners put some rush on the young quarterback, Jordan Love? Green Bay's offensive tackles held Dallas without a sack. So Micah Parsons didn't do anything last week, and he had one pressure in 19 pass rush snaps. Can the 49ers put pressure on Love? That's really a big question in this thing. Nick Bosa's third in the NFL with 95 pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. They need Nick Bosa and Chase Young to have big days. As far as injuries, A.J. Dillon's got a thumb injury and a neck injury. He's missed the last couple games. I think he's probably out. Kingsley Enagbare, the outside linebacker, has a torn ACL. He's out. Jair Alexander, the fantastic corner for the Pack, has a left ankle sprain that he, had a recurring sprain of against Dallas. Didn't practice this week. So is Jair Alexander going to go? On the Niners side, Cleveland Farrell is their one guy that's out with the knee injury. Eric Armstead is expected to play with a foot injury. So he hasn't played in a number of weeks, but he's going to play on Saturday. You look at this matchup. Green Bay's 3-2 at Levi's Stadium. The Niners are the better team as far as talent. 9 Pro Bowlers for the Niners, 0 for Green Bay. Kayshawn Nixon, by the way, was an all-pro kick returner. So they do have a all-pro kick returner. Green Bay leads the NFL with 13 playoff road wins in the history of their franchise. So they've ventured out on the road before and done it. Green Bay, by the way, was the only team that went out on the road during Wild Card weekend and won. They snapped Dallas's 16-game home winning streak. So, it's been a tale of 2 years for Green Bay. They went with a lot of young players, young wide receivers and young tight ends and a young quarterback, and they got off to a slow start. They started 2-5, but they have gone 8-3 since. And now you've got Aaron Jones rolling in hot. He's had at least 111 rushing yards in 4 straight games. Dontavion Wicks, their rookie wide receiver, is really hot as well. He's got 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Jaden Reed is their leading receiver. He had 64 catches for 793 yards and 10 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs, though, was the big star receiver last week against Dallas. And then you got Green Bay that's their O-line's only given up 2 sacks in the last 4 games. If it comes down to a kick of any distance, the Niners may feel good because Anders Carlson, their rookie kicker, 7 of 13 on field goals from 40+. So he has really, really struggled there. The 49er offensive line is going to be challenged in this game. Green Bay's got 3 players with at least 7.5 sacks. Rashawn Gary has 9. He'll be going up against Colton McKivitz most of the night. Preston Smith on the other side against Trent Williams has 8. Kenny Clark has 7.5 sacks. Lucas Van Ness, their first-round draft choice out of Iowa, has had sacks now in back-to-back games. So, this is going to be a real challenge for the 49ers offensive line. Now, Shanahan, the Niners are 4-0 at home in the playoffs under Kyle Shanahan. He has not lost a home playoff game as a 49er head coach. The Niners' last home playoff loss was in 2011 under Jim Harbaugh when they lost the NFC title game that year to the New York Giants. but the 49ers offensively are an incredible offensive team. I mean, they've got 4,000-yard players from scrimmage, and they're only the sixth team in history to have that. CMC, Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle all went for over 1,000 yards this year. The Niners led the NFL, averaging 6.6 yards per offensive play in the regular season, and they're particularly good on opening drives. 49ers scored 76 points on opening drives this season, the most in the NFL since at least 2000. So we're talking about a team that really starts fast. Brock Purdy, people have called him dink and dunk and that kind of thing, but Brock Purdy led the NFL this year with 45 completions of at least 25 yards. He attacks down the field. He set the Niners franchise record this year with 4,280 passing yards, led the NFL in passer rating and yards per attempt. And he's been really good in the red zone. The Niners under Purdy scored touchdowns on an NFL best 67.2% of red zone drives. So when they get in the red zone, they don't settle for field goals. They score touchdowns. One of the big keys is going to be how do the Niner DBs stand up against Jordan Love. Against Dallas, he lit up a top 5 secondary, and he did it on the road. But the Niners do have 22 interceptions, most in the NFL, and they allowed 9.6 yards per attempt, yards per completion, I should say, which is first in the NFL. The big matchup, I think, is going to be Mooney Ward on Romeo Doubs. Ward had a great year, 5 picks. He's an all-pro, second-team all-pro, 72 tackles against Doubs, who's their Green Bay's most complete wide receiver. Doubs had 6 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown against Dallas. All right, why do I like the Niners? And I do. I really like the Niners here. I respect Green Bay a ton. But why do I like the Niners? CMC is a first-team all-pro. He averages 5.4 a carry. And I think he's going to be really unstoppable as a runner. But then if Kyle Shanahan wants to throw it to him out of the backfield, Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell are not good cover men at linebacker. And I think they're going to be able to really exploit what those guys are in pass defense. The Niners' rush offense was 3rd in the league this year in yards per game, 8th in rush attempts. They ran the 8th most. The 49ers threw the ball less than any team in the NFL. They were absolutely dead last in pass attempts. So it's a run-heavy scheme going up against a 28th rated rush defense, and I feel good about that. The Niners went 10-1 this year when McCaffrey ran for 75 yards. I'll say this, though. Green Bay did hold Tony Pollard down last week. He was held to 3.7 yards per carry. So I love the Niners also because I think they'll be able to stop Aaron Jones enough. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. Warner and Greenlaw are a great tandem. Both of them had over 120 tackles this year. Warner was a first-team All-Pro. Jones has been really good, though, lately. He's had 4 games in a row, over 110 rushing yards, but more importantly, he's averaged 5 yards per carry. So as far as who steps up for the 49ers, a lot of it's on Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's got to have to pick apart this secondary when he gets his opportunities. There's no question about that. But, George Kittle, I think, is going to be really good against Green Bay safeties and linebackers. Kittle led all tight ends this year with over 1,000 yards receiving. He's a first-team All-Pro. Green Bay allowed a quarterback rating of 105.8 to tight ends this year when quarterbacks were targeting tight ends. That's 23rd in the NFL. Green Bay also, I don't think, can hang with Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, especially with the injury to Jair Alexander. Green Bay's pass defense gave up a quarterback rating of 100.3 when wide receivers were targeted. That's 28th in the NFL. So 49ers also have beaten good teams this year. They're 8-4 against teams who were 500 or better. So I really like that angle as well. The big one to me is going to be turnovers. But Green Bay only has 18 takeaways on the year. They're 23rd in the NFL at taking the ball away. The Niners have had 2 turnovers in 4 games this season, and they went 1-3 in those games. So if the Niners turn it over once, they probably get away with it. If they turn it over twice, it really impacts the game and their ability to win. Green Bay is a younger team. The Niners have more experience. Green Bay is the youngest playoff team since the 77 Bears. The average age of the pack, 25.6 years of age. So, there's all kinds of reasons to like Green Bay offensively. Jordan Love leads the NFL in a number of passing categories since week 11. Aaron Jones is really hot. They're number 2 in pass block win rate on the O-line. Their young wide receivers and tight ends are coming on strong. There's reasons to like Green Bay. But, man, the Niners offense is top 4 in scoring, total offense, passing offense, rushing offense. They're fresh, they're rested, they're at home, and they should fire. So I do like the 49ers to win this game. Couple trends that I think are really interesting. Teams on short rest in the playoffs facing a team that's not on short rest over the last 20 years are 5-12. So, that's major advantage 49ers. The other major advantage for the Niners, if you believe the game is special teams is a third of the game, Green Bay special teams are terrible. They rank 31st in DVOA on special teams. They're especially bad on punts. So, and then the other trend that stands out, this fits Green Bay, teams that win like Green Bay just did as 6-point underdogs or more the previous week, and then are 6-point underdogs again the next week over the last 20 years are 3-13. So, that's a trend that really does favor the 49ers. So at the end of the day, how's this going to go? I think this is a really good matchup. I respect the hell out of Green Bay, and I think they're a team that's on the rise. But they're not there yet. And I think this is going to be a really good team in the next 3 or 4 years. They got a great personnel, man. They got a really solid head coach. They got an outstanding young quarterback, a bevy of top-tier young weapons, offensive line that's really top-tier, second in pass block win rate. They got a really talented D-line. But I think the 49ers should be able to win this game unless they beat themselves. You run the ball with McCaffrey. You mix in some throws to Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo. You run the ball with Debo. You keep the ball on the ground. Even if it's raining, you maybe you pass it a little bit less if it's raining. The Niners have the run offense and against the 28th rated run defense, where they should just be able to run it at will and run Green Bay right off the field. Now, turnovers will tell the story. If the 49ers turn it over, this game's going to be close. If the Niners don't turn it over, I don't think there's any way they lose. It's a really upstart Green Bay team that's coming. And believe me, Green Bay, Detroit, two of the two teams that may stand between the Niners and the Super Bowl are two young teams that are really going to be something to deal with over the next, 4 to 5 seasons, because they've done a really good job at accumulating young talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But the 49ers have a absolute steely resolve. The Niners might have been the best team in the NFL last year, and they lost in Philly. And, I was talking to Demo Lenore, and I said, talk about your playoff experience. And he's like, man, last year was bitter. And he's like, that feeling of how we felt when we lost last year is why we're not going to lose. And it's rare that you get something that carries over from one year to the next. The 83 Niners got hosed at RFK Stadium with some bad calls, and it fueled their whole run in 1984. And this year, I think the 49ers, they showed McCaffrey is going to lead the way. He's been their leader since minicamp. He's playing incredible football. He's taken it to a totally different level. It started in minicamp. The 49ers are motivated. They're driven. They feel like they have unfinished business. This is the 49ers year. So I like them to win this game. I'm going to say, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be crazy out of hand, but I'll say 24-13 49ers. They do win. I think there's a chance they cover. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 24-17 49ers. I don't expect it to be super high scoring, but I think the 49ers will find a way to run the ball, dominate the clock, and win this game over Green Bay. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Mojo Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they'll match you up to your first $100. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. Go Niners.